Welcome back. And we have the very final mission of Wing Commander 3 Heart of the Tiger. That's Kilrar in front of us, and hopefully relatively shortly it won't be. Jade is with me again.
Just gonna get right to the genocide, aren't you?
Oh yeah. We're not hanging around with our slaughter of billions of, well, innocence might be a bit of a strong word, but the way that society is sort of set up is entirely based on war, but they're not directly involved in trying to kill us anyway.
I like how Kilrar is just a giant red...
Possibly unsurprisingly, given what we're trying to do, all the enemies are way more aggressive in this mission.
They changed the AI?
That actually means it's easier, because they've kind of forgotten how to dodge.
So they made the AI more aggressive for the final mission.
Yeah, but what they didn't think about when they did that is that, say, the thing about Pat-Tan is that it's got really strong shields, but the Excalibur's got a lot of firepower, so if it only turns one of those sets of shields towards me, it's not actually that well protected.
The first time I was watching this, I thought you leeched these guys because they were just kind of drifting in front of your guns.
Nah, they're just slow and lumbering. You don't normally see the bombers when you don't have to kill them straight away because they're going to blow up the victory. So it's not immediately obvious how crap they actually are. And no, I don't know what happened to that one. I haven't fired any missiles.
Yeah, it was really... He was just like, nope, screw it, I'm exploding.
I mean, maybe he ejected, but why did... I didn't have that much damage on him, and none of the others did. And like I said, all the other guys are really aggressive, so ejecting seems unusual.
Yeah, do Kilrathis even eject?
So, there's a bit of back and forth on this one. In Secret Missions, when you first capture the set of Dralthi you get in that game,
I remember they make a point of...
Colonel Halcyon says that they haven't been able to retrofit the Dralthi with ejector seats, so you can't eject.
Right, I remember that.
Implying that you cannot eject. In this game, if you look at the wreckage of any fighter when you blow it up, you'll see there's something that looks an awful lot like an ejection pod. Escape a lot of the time. Yes, they kind of do. I don't know, maybe the Cats have been running out of pilots, which is supported in the novel, so they added ejector seats by Wing Commander 3.
Maybe they're not just ejecting, but they're redesigning the cockpit to have the pilot survive in case of catastrophic damage. Like, you can't punch out, but if the ship starts exploding, you know, maybe it wraps up around the
The position of, like, the cockpit survives the explosion. Yeah, it could be. The novels do comment that the Cats have a ton of carriers, but they're having to leave some of them out of active service because they're running out of pilots. Which does make a bit of sense if they're, you know, not actually having anyone jet, given that it probably takes them a few months to build a fighter and a few years to train a pilot.
Well, the other thing about that is, this is like species versus species warfare. And their entire species is warfare. You'd think they wouldn't really have shortage of military personnel when basically every single Kilrathi, I don't know how to pluralize that, is basically a soldier.
Every single male Kilrathi, yeah. Kill, I think, is the individual term, but it's practically never used.
Right.
The women are priests and sit at home and have children and other such things.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell, to some extent, just how depleted either side's getting due to the war. I mean, I think the CIC page on there has probably an article figure of, I think it's 15 billion Kilrathi and 10 billion Confederation dead in the 35 years of war.
Wow, wait, billions.
That doesn't sound like that's
yeah.
like that's a fuck ton of people, but for the civilizations that span huge numbers of planets,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
much of a problem.
well, let's see, Earth's what, about 7 billion now, give or take, 600 years in multiple planet colonialization. Yeah, we could probably absorb 10 billion in losses. But that's including civilian death, right?
Yeah, and a lot of those, like, I mean, the Kilrathi, like, a whole bunch of those losses are going to be what happens
Yeah,
in
right.
about 20 minutes.
I was about to say, those figures also probably include the planets that got, like, nuked or chemical warfare or,
Yeah, I mean, there's Lacandu and there's Sirius, which we saw in Standoff, and
Right.
Sirius had a couple billion people on it, so... And then there were a lot of human losses in the early part of the war, where basically what's supposed to happen is that the fleet was completely unready for a Kilrathi assault on a large scale, and the first 6 months or so of the war was a complete disaster. What they don't explain at any point is how it stopped being a disaster and he managed to pull out of the death spiral, but there might have been a game in there at some point if someone had made more Wing Commander games after 5.
Wait, there's 5? Oh.
Well, there's sort of 5. Prophecy, we shall say, does not count, shall we?
Oh, okay.
To be fair, there wasn't anything hugely wrong with Prophecy, other than the fact that it wasn't really a Wing Commander game, it just had Wing Commander on the title and Mark Hamill showed up occasionally.
Oh, so kind of like Privateer 2, not really being Privateer.
Yeah, I mean, the Confederation's around in Prophecy, it's just that we've invented a new threat, the Nephilim, insectoid. Basically, they're the Shivans, they were about 6 months earlier than the Shivans, so I can't really call it derivative of free space, and not even the other way around, it's too narrow a time window. Free space had already been written at the time, but they're your normal insectoid swarm, except that they're not, They're supposed to be a horrific high-tech threat, except for the fact that they're normally outnumbering you about 5 to 1, and this isn't very hard.
They're worse than Dockets?
Yeah, their basic pilot is called the Moray, and it's pretty much a Darkit that has been made to look a bit more alien and it has more polygons.
Well, polygons are how you win wars.
Well, this is how you know they're more advanced than the Kilrathi, because they've got more polygons, they can actually do curves. I haven't quite figured out why both of these destroyers are going towards Kilrar. You'd figure they'd be heading out towards the fighter they're trying to engage, but I don't know, whatever. I don't mind, because it means that I can just sit in this blind spot they have where their engines are, and shoot there forever.
But what's the destroyer gonna do? Outmaneuver you and turn its forward guns on you?
Funny you should say that.
Oh dear, what did I say?
So we're going to get to this 3.5 points of fighters before we get to the big showdown in Kilrar orbit. And this third one now...
Right, what, is a destroyer gonna be waiting for you? And it, gonna shoot you with a capital ship gun?
Yeah, well, so it did actually try that one when I went below, out of my safe zone for a bit. The yellow blast that struck past my cockpit very briefly, that was an antimatter gun.
Ah.
And that was the point at which I turned round. So I was like, that got fuck, must get back in the safe line now because I do not want to get hit by that thing. It wouldn't knock out an Excalibur, but it's about as bad as a missile hit, so you don't want to run into too many of them. But no, this destroyer, this one's really aggressive. You might remember sometimes in Wing Commander 2 you'd have a destroyer or a corvette that would really go at you all the time and flew towards you and was always firing its flat guns, and they made what would even normally be pretty easy fights a bit harder. Well, this destroyer is one of those. Got 6 Darkits here, which is, a decent fight for an Excalibur. But that destroyer makes it a pain, because once it gets in range with its tachyon guns, it means that I have to be much more careful about flying in a straight line, because those guns hurt. And more importantly, they can knock down a shield facing for whatever Darkit happens to be facing it to knock a hole in my armour. So it's a bit of a pain, and so you can see I'm doing the spin around a lot and take a few shots and it Darkit, and if it doesn't work, take a few shots to the next one. It takes a bit longer, but it's a safer way of doing things.
Yeah, you only need a couple good hits to blow them up, so preserve your ship first, worry about them later.
Yeah, precisely, especially since I've got, spoilers, but you kind of figured out, I got back at the next nav point, so don't want to be too damaged by that. I can't remember if I said in the last video that you could actually fight like a Stracker in the final mission and cloak and decloak at will. If I did say that, I was wrong. You can't. You can only cloak once in the space section, and you have to do it after this battle, because if you aren't cloaked at the next nav point, you just face Infinite Sorvax, which is not the easiest fight ever.
Well, if it's infinite, I would imagine not.
The only reason you know about cloaking is because if you look at your nav map, there'll be a screenshot of this in the thread. It says, if you look at your nav points, the last one of them says, kill Lara, activate cloak before entering that. And like that's literally the only thing in the entire game that tells you have to be cloaked before you hit the final nav point, or your mission will be unwinnable. Which is another kind of a dick move.
Yeah, I mean, Paladin should have said something about that. I mean,
Well,
come
he
on.
kind of did. We can tell that it was his fault on the nav map because it says laddie rather than just the instruction.
Oh, okay, that's
But,
good.
you know, it would be nice given that, like me, and I suspect most people who play Wing Commander 3 never look at the nav map, for the mission briefing to mention the whole cloak before going to the nav 4 thing.
Is that destroyer like just a couple hundred meters off of you at this point?
I did say it was chasing me. It is.
Because I kept seeing like the red pointy bits stick into your screen for a moment. It looked really close.
Yeah, well, so basically it's now pointing towards me and it's travelling towards me with all its engines on full and whatever. I spent a while in a couple of my early runs trying to actually get around the back and shooting at it, but more trouble than it was worth really, so I'm just going straight in at it and then out and slide.
You're yo-yoing it.
Yep, pretty much. You'll notice that it can't actually bring its main guns to bear from this angle anyway, so its captain ain't the smartest.
That doesn't seem like that should work like that.
And so now we're cloaked, and therefore the screen is black and white, because as everybody knows, cloaking devices don't allow coloured light through. I'm not quite sure where the idea to use black and white as a hide out your cloak thing came from, but they obviously liked the idea because it happens in Wing Commander 4 as well.
Ah, I see we're going for the undisclosed Teutonic fault line in Thraka's spaceship.
Well, you know, I thought since the topic came up, I'd better check to see if one was actually there. Sadly, Thrakath is a bit too good to be hit by the Templar Bomb on any difficulty level above Rook. Actually, he's too good on Rookie as well. The Templar Bomb is really slow, and the first time I did this, I launched it from about, I think it was about 1,000, 2,000, and he successfully dodged it. So this time we're going to get a bit closer.
You're locking an earth-penetrating weapon on a spaceship.
What a fighter.
Right.
I do love that the Excalibur makes the Strachan noise when it decloaks. I like that.
And he's dead from a Templar.
Yeah, and sadly that does not destroy Kilgar, so I think we can conclude Thrakath is not actually a fault line.
Damn.
So, doing this actually now.
Right.
The Pactons here are infinite like the Sorbacks are, but we only have to kill Thrakath and Hobbs in order to get down to the surface. So I'm going to knock out one of the bombers and then I'll switch to Thrakath, who doesn't actually have fewer hit points than Hobbs, but Hobbs is way more defensive and fly, so he's harder to kill.
You had the option of killing Hobbs earlier in the campaign, right? Chasing after him after he stabbed Cobra?
Yeah, basically if I've killed Hobbs in that mission, he doesn't show up here, but the thread said no, leave Hobbs, let him go and get Kero killed, so we didn't. Hobbs is the same in that fight as he is in this one, but in that fight we're flying a Hellcat, and in this one we're flying an Excalibur.
Ooh, that's a big difference.
Yeah, so pretty much probably it's better to take him down here. Though, obviously here he's got Thrakath and two Pactons for company, whereas in the Alcor fight he's just on his own. Still, I think I'd rather have the Excalibur than and have to deal with Thrakath, Thrakath's a bit too aggressive. Bloodfang's really, really fast, but that doesn't really help him if he just flies straight at you, which is what he did. And therefore it didn't last that long, especially since the second time he tried to fly straight at me, he didn't have any shields left.
Yeah, not a good one there.
Hobbs, on the other hand, well, Hobbs is probably the most dangerous enemy in the game. I mean, he's in the Thunderbolt, which is not... It's not really a match for Excalibur, but he's got a few advantages. I mean, he's got the thing that all the aces in the Dralfi have, where he doesn't have to have a missile lock to fire missiles at me. I mean, you might have seen he launched a missile at me while he was flying in the other direction.
Yeah, when did your HUD start tracking missiles like that with the brackets? Because it looked like he targeted the missile itself for a moment.
Yeah, you don't see it a lot in this because I try to avoid having incoming missiles in my front viewplane for too long. But missiles always do show up in those green brackets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can see it a few times actually in this video if you go through and look at it. And also, I mean, they move really fast, so you don't see them that much. But they are there. If I can see a missile, I generally dodge, so...
Oh, okay. Well, that was going to lead me to a follow-up question. If you see them and they're in brackets, can your ITTS track them and can you shoot them down?
No, you can't. It's not the...
Oh.
You can't target lock them, so... You can't shoot them well. I mean, I think you can shoot missiles down. I remember I've done it on my own missile. But you can't target them, so the Excalibur will auto-track them, and you can't get ITTS lead indicators on it, you have to guess. And at that point, it's kind of not worth it.
Right, yeah.
They don't do the thing that, I mean, yeah, obviously in the X-Wing series, where missiles have this habit of flying straight at you, they're quite easy to shoot down. But these ones don't do that. And that was an excellent bit of coding Origin. You could have let Hobbs actually get his death message out before you replaced the game with a cutscene.
Yeah, how disappointing. Just had to murder your old best friend.
And now we're on the surface of Kilra. Was it
Jesus
everything you expected,
Christ.
Jed?
Well, I did kind of expect it to be a crappy moon like all the other ground missions. Oh, and lots of lava, of course. Because nothing says...
It wasn't immediately obvious to me the first time I actually played that this was lava. But yeah, that is the plan.
What else would it be? I mean, orange grass?
I don't know what colour grass is on Kilra. I mean, chlorophyll might be red over there or something. But you would expect more buildings, given that,
yeah,
this is
instead of just like these
Kilrathi homeworld.
what look like ruined spires in the middle of lava flows. I don't know, are you in maybe some sort of region of Kilra that's just not used or undeveloped because of the lava everywhere?
I mean, that's the best guess. You'll see...
Wait, are those tanks in the lava?
And the guys in the thread will see, Jade's already seen this, and there's a cutscene that the console version of the game had, which show, what Origin were actually going for rather than what they did. And that does suggest that there is this sort of lava-heavy region of Kilra for some reason, whatever it is.
Oh, your refusal to orient towards, ground level drives me nuts.
Yeah, well...
Just roll 90 degrees to your right.
You can rotate... Because rotating your fighter is more pain than it's actually worth, because the fighter doesn't orient itself naturally, and the...
Just aileron roll, man. Just aileron roll.
Yeah, I can't. Well, I can't without having pressed 1,500 buttons, and at this point I was more worried that I accidentally fired the Templar bomb and then decided not to bother.
Also, you don't seem to have ailerons.
Yeah, but I don't think the Excalibur has actual control surfaces for atmospheric flight on its model, so maybe it acquires them when it goes into ground, but it doesn't do that in the cutscenes where that happens. So in order to attempt to make this video a bit more exciting, I've caused the enemy captures to spawn. If you stay in the canyon where I was flying, then the captures don't spawn, and you just fly the entire mission to the fault line and blow up the planet without ever facing any enemies, which is a particularly good example of Kilrathi setting their radars up, I guess. But that's dull, so I thought I'd cause some enemies to spawn in. The problem with this plan is that if you're watching the radar, you'll see that when I blew up the first one, another red dot appeared instantly, and it'll be the same with this guy. Whenever an Apache is killed, another one spawns automatically. Origin didn't do a great job on the event code that spawns them in there, because if you're flying through the canyon when one dies, it's entirely possible for an Apache to spawn in the canyon wall and die immediately.
Sounds like a great way to get free kills.
Which did a few runs of this, and I had that happen quite a bit. If you hear a sort of repeated collision sound followed by an explosion at any point, that will be what happened, and the Apache has crashed into the canyon, and the next one around has spawned in the canyon wall. Anyway, I'm now heading for the fault line because fuck dogfighting Apaches the entire game.
Right. The fault line's really far away too, isn't it?
It is. So, I get what they were trying to do here. They want you to do a long obstacle course of weaving through the canyon and having to dodge around before you can finally launch the bomb. The problem is they did it far, far, far too slow. So,
yeah. This isn't exactly a tense...
And the canyon's actually pretty wide.
Yeah.
There's no real challenge here.
Yeah.
And this is, like, a lot of the time here I'm at Afterburner, or I'm doing what Jake has informed me is cheating. And I hit the Afterburners and turn Velocity Lock on so that I retain Afterburner speed without having to use any fuel.
Yeah, I mean, if I could do that in, like, KSP or something, I'm pretty sure it would be cheating.
Yeah, but KSP is supposed to have an actual physics engine that works. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, like, when I've talked to people who've not played Wing Commander games before, I've occasionally described the Excalibur's Velocity Lock as turn physics on. Because that doesn't really apply in atmosphere where we are now, but in space, the Velocity Lock is how it ought to work all the time anyway.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, not many games like this actually do Newtonian physics.
Wing Commander has a sort of pseudo-Newtonian thing where...
And it would be really, really hard, too.
It's Newtonian if you were flying through a medium that had a drag to it. The way the game actually works is, when you... It's why the slide worked in Wing Commanders 1 and 2, because the game has a velocity vector for you, and then it provides a thrust at the angle your ship's flying, and the game tries to match one to the other. So the flight engine does have Newtonian elements to it, it just also has the standard space game thing where ships fly at a constant speed in space. It also did this better in, it took longer for the ships to match their velocity vectors in Wing 1 and 2 than it did in Wing 3, which meant that you could actually use the slide in Wing 1 and 2 without having to have a fighter that could velocity lock, whereas in Wing 3 you can't. Didn't stop me trying for ages and ages. Thanks, Akapshi.
Oops.
So I've got bored of...
Did it hit you, or was that a missile?
Dodging now, and I'm just going at Afterburner Lock to the fault line, because I needed enough time to get a decent lead. But I've got a problem here.
Oh, it was over 100 kilometers away at one point. This is way too long for a mission like this.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is. This is the final mission of the game. It's supposed to be some climactic great struggle. And, we had a decent climactic last battle. We had Frakath and Hobbs, we had the traitor, we had the enemy leader.
Yeah.
We took them on. That was great. This is, like, what the hell were they thinking?
Enemy geography.
I mean, it would be okay if it was actually a challenge, but I've had to make this a challenge by deliberately spawning a Capshi in that would not have normally appeared.
That still aren't doing much to you.
No. Well, I'd have a problem here because, I'd have to line up on the fault line to launch the T-bomb, and the T-bomb takes ages to lock on. Except that even that's not a problem. Because there's one thing I haven't actually shown so far about this part of the mission.
Okay. Oh,
you can
cloak.
And because you can cloak, the entire thing is completely pointless because you can just cloak right at the start.
And then fly over the canyon and just head straight for the objective.
Yeah, and then we know,
Also, are you going 0 kilometers per second hovering in midair in an atmosphere in a gravity well?
Yes.
That is also cheating.
This one's definitely cheating, it's allowed by the dead mechanics. And that was underwhelming, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, nice explosion and all, but I'm a little bit off the mood that you came to a full and complete stop while cloaked in a planet's atmosphere.
I think the Emperor agrees with you on this point.
Oh, and as if blowing the planet up wasn't enough, we'll just have all the debris kill their giant space fleet in
It
orbit.
doesn't make sense.
Why would they be that close? Why do you gotta be that close to the planet?
Well, if you remember, 6 briefings ago, which you probably don't,
No.
there was a comment about how the fleet was being refitted in the shipyard.
Oh, right.
Also, oops, I guess.
Well, blowing up a planet sure to release a big EMP.
So yeah, that didn't go that well for Excalibur either, especially since I probably stopped but didn't give us the best getting away speed.
You're doomed.
I like this model of the Dreadnought actually has damage on. Didn't get out from kill unscathed.
Oh yeah, I was wondering what was going on with this thing.
So we have an ominous march.
The heart of the tiger. In my bones, I wish to kill you.
Do it then. It won't bring back your home world.
Why to be a dick?
And a race
To be fair, I
without a
think she's about to get
home
murdered.
world.
I think being a dick is allowed.
Unimaginable.
Yeah, fair enough.
The Kilrathi are a beaten race. And killing the one warrior great enough to bring about their end will bring me no honor. A new millennium
It's
lies ahead.
2679. No, it doesn't.
We have become too corrupt and too much slaves to our blood.
Maybe he meant era?
Or maybe Kalathi years are different. Well, presumably they are, but actually it isn't New Millennium in Kalathi years either, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I think he did mean era.
We are surrendering to you, Heart of the Tiger. It is an action unlike any we have ever taken.
Look of complete
But
disbelief.
it is time the Kilrathi find new ways. The Kilrathi must not die out as a race.
So now we're on the deck of the TCS Missouri, or perhaps not quite, but there's a fairly blatant call out being made here.
Ah, yes. They really do love their World War II analogies, don't they?
If you remember how Wing Commander 1 ended. Yeah, they do. The entire thing was definitely supposed to be the Pacific War in space, but I don't know, maybe they didn't have to be this blatant about it. I'm still not sure what those fighters actually are. They look most like Hellcats, but not quite.
Yeah.
And so this is the scene that'd be different if Flint was dead, because she cannot be in it if she was dead.
Yeah, that would
What do you
kind
want
of
to do first?
put a whole damper on that thing. What if you had what's her name,
I want
Sparks?
to land,
Rachel.
son, and watch
Rachel.
the
Yeah,
seagulls
it's
maneuver
basically
over
the
the
same thing. She's sitting there instead of
Sounds
Flint,
good to me.
and her line. It's something like, I want to go to the beach, feel the sand between my toes, and never stand in the bulkhead. And again, Blair just says, sounds good to me, because he's a pushover who does whatever his girlfriend wants.
Right. I know. He just blew up a planet, you know? Maybe he can stop making the decisions for a while.
Well, that does seem to pretty much be his plan. I'm not giving too much of Wing Commander 4 away right now, but let's suffice it to say that he has stopped making a lot of decisions by the time Wing Commander 4 comes around, which is 10 years later.
Oh,
To be
jeez.
fair.
Man, Blair gets a lot of 10-year gaff in the Wing Commander series.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, you've seen The War's Over. A game that was straight after it wouldn't have made a huge amount of sense. Well, to some extent it would. I mean, we know what the Kilrathi are kind of like, and the fact that Malek has surrendered doesn't necessarily mean the entire race is just going to up and stop fighting.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a universal racial decision that's going to come around.
But, I mean, they're not going to be a huge threat because basically they've lost all political unity they had because we just killed the entire Imperial household.
Right, it's kind of like orcs. You kill the war chief, and then they all kind of scatter off in their own little tribes and just cause havoc amongst each other.
Yeah, I mean, basically there were two... In the novels, there were pretty much two Kilrathi who the other clan leaders pay attention to. There's the Emperor and there's Baron Jakaga. And both of them are now dead. Frakath is dead, and Frakath was the only heir, and he doesn't have any children. So...
Power vacuum.
Yeah. And there's no clan now Kilrar, and most of the clan leaders were on Kilrar at the time. So basically, yeah, the Kilrathi are too busy having a civil war to actually threaten the humans much next 5-10 years.
Sounds good.
And my understanding from the books is that the civil war is basically the natural state of the Kilrathi. And if They didn't discover hyperdrive on their own. They were uplifted by another race that landed and thought that they'd be better off with jump drives. And obviously, the Kilrathi being the Kilrathi used the jump drives to slaughter the race that gifted them.
Ah, what dicks.
Yeah, well,
It's like, hey, thanks for getting us into the intergalactic community. Now we're going to exterminate.
they might have enslaved them, I can't remember, but I think it was exterminated. The Kilrathi, by the way, think this is like the funniest joke ever.
Damn, what a bunch of dicks.
Yep, that is about the best description of... They kind of are. They are just interstellar dicks. To be fair, I'm not sure that they're necessarily interstellar dicks that deserve getting, 10 billion civilians slaughtered like that, but hey, it was them on Earth. And guess what? It was them.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get for living on a craggy, unsafe planet. I mean, retrofit that thing. How long has it been?
Well, I'm not sure they know, because it's like one of those things. Would Merrick have surrendered if he'd known that Temple Bomb wouldn't have worked on their planets? Because he probably doesn't know that.
That's a good point.
Confederation.
Well, I don't think they're just surrendering because they're fearing all their planets are going to explode. Like you said, they lost their entire hierarchy.
About it as well.
Maybe Malik thinks he'll be like the new leader. Is like, okay, I'm bringing around peace. Get behind me. Let's not die off as a race.
Yeah, he's trying to
make his own
sort
position.
of create some kind of order, and then the Kilrathi killing themselves out completely in an endless civil war. But well, history does not favour him on that one. But that is for another day and another Wing Commander game. For now, thanks for watching. That was Wing Commander 3: Heart of the Tiger.
I'm Jade Star.
I was Alanin, and join me in the future for Wing Commander 4: The Price of Freedom.
Isn't that the guy from Star Wars?